Welcome back, everyone, to another installment of the Cron Yote Show. I'm your host, Britton Yoder, joined once more by the, according to his words, comedic genius Ethan Chronister. Pop made himself officially the GOAT. Baseball is finally back, and the NFL is going ballistic at the current moment. Anarchy is happening in the sports world, and we are here to run you through it.
Anarchy!
Let's go. All right. Cron, you're leading this episode for the first time ever. Let's hear it. Let's start leading it. Let's get into our topics. As you know, we're going ballistic, so let's go.
As you can see here, and behind him, Cronyo Media coming at you live.
Mhm.
As mentioned, I am your host today, Ethan Chronister. We're joined today by my good buddy, Britton, eating an Oreo or a Thin Mint, one of the two. There you go, Thin Mints. Baseball is back. It's
Bro, I'm so
finally back.
hyped.
It
I'm
is
so
finally
hyped.
back. As you can see, we got the beanies on. I got the Bo Sox. He's got the Yankees. Rocking our teams today.
I know. Dude,
Tell me, Eder, how excited are you to have baseball back, bro?
dude, finally, I'm so excited to see Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton 450-foot bombs in spring training again.
That's facts.
Last year, Aaron Judge hit a 450 bomb, left center off the Phillies. I get to rub that into Colleen again this year because I'm pretty sure we play the Phillies again. I'm excited to beat the crap out of the Red Sox this year again. Just kidding, that didn't happen last year, but it will happen this year. I can promise you that. I'm excited to have Trevor Story as our shortstop. I'm excited to have Freddie Freeman as our first baseman and Michael Conforto in the outfield. I'm ready for it all. Bring it on, bro. I'm ready for ring number 28.
Anyways, I'm pretty excited for baseball to be back. I'm thankful to the two sides for finally reaching an agreement. It's been long enough. Now, tell me, what are they doing? Are those 2 weeks of the season still canceled, or did they pull it out?
No, so I believe they did end up canceling one series, which was the original opening series, but they're starting April 7th still. So it was going to be, so there was like this whole fake thing going on where the MLB was like, oh, if we keep waiting, we're going to have to keep canceling games. Then they ended up canceling two more series, but they're like, wait. The next day, they're like, wait. If we make a deal today, we can play on time. And so they made a deal that day. We're playing on time. We got a few different rules. We got the universal DH. And have you seen the new pictures of the new bases? How much bigger the new bases are?
Yeah, scaled the size against Jose Altuve.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're both sizes are taller than Altuve, but the new ones are significantly taller than Jose. But yeah, there's a lot of new exciting rule changes. I love the universal DH, Cron. I know you're not like a fan of it, but I love it. And
the universal DH opens up a lot of positions for players who kind of would be just bouncing around the league, going to teams that need a DH whenever someone gets hurt. But it will, you got to admit, doesn't happen very often, but a pitcher nuke is something different. It's a different level of hype that it gets you, bro.
Yeah, but like, I understand all that, but like, moving into this new era, I'm excited. Bartolo Colon's not playing anymore, so like seeing a Bartolo home run, it's never going to happen again. So at least we got to see it, but it's time to move on. It's time to get past that.
But it's not even Bartolo, bro. It's the pitchers who can actually hit, like Mad Bum and Noah Syndergaard and Jacob deGrom. They don't get to hit anymore.
And yeah, like watching Lorenzen hit was cool. But here's the thing, like if you can
even your boy, bro, Max Scherzer,
then put him in the lineup. If you're so excited to watch them hit, put them in the lineup then in your everyday lineup. That's
All
the thing.
right,
You're
yeah,
excited watching that.
someone's
Yeah.
getting a little feisty over
Well,
here,
that's what
bro.
I'm saying. Just get rid of it. I'm tired of seeing these guys strike out every time they come into the plate with the occasional bunt.
He's tired of seeing the pitchers strike out. He's a Yankees fan. He has to watch enough of that.
Exactly. I gotta I gotta watch enough Ks between Gallo, Judge, and Stanton. Man, I can't take it from pitchers anymore.
And don't they all bat one after another in the lineup?
Yeah, occasionally they hit two, three, four, but Judge is typically a two hole guy, so that's where he's gonna hit. And
So
you
when you see that when the game changes in between innings and you see Gallo, Stanton, Judge, you know
that's
it's either about the three 450-foot shots or three pitch strikeouts.
well, here's the thing about that is that Judge doesn't get to 0-2 very often. Neither does Stanton. Well, he does have his moments where he strikes out 5 times a game. Joey Gallo, watching that man hit has been frustrating, especially because he's a lefty and he's supposed to be using that short porch. But no, man, you're right. Like, there's a lot of strikeouts in the lineup, but it's whatever. We're gonna have our lineup's gonna be DJ, Judge, Story, Freeman, Stanton, and Gallo this upcoming season. And then don't forget we have Glaber, we got Gio at third. And we'll have Conforto in the outfield or something like that. So we'll be all right. The strikeouts will come down with our plentiful signings that are about to come up this offseason. So don't
Well,
worry
as
about that.
far as it goes with the next part of what we wanted to discuss with baseball, I
Hmm.
need not even ask because you just gave me about 5 of your predictions for free agency. So
Okay, those aren't my official predictions. Those are more so like my
hopeful
wet dreams at
predictions.
night. Yeah, like those. That's what I think of when I think of ring number 28.
I
And
think we should talk about a few of the big ones. One of the bigger ones would be obviously Freddie. I don't think Freddie's going back to Atlanta.
really, you don't. You know,
I
he.
think I think someone with a lot of money somehow. Like I've seen a lot of things about the Dodgers offering him a big contract.
I don't understand how that team has money.
I
First of all,
don't either, but they offered it, and if the Braves don't want to match that, then I guess we've got another Dodgers team that's going to make it all the way to the playoffs and lose again.
you know, I do think so. Those are the two teams that, in my opinion, if it came down to two teams, those are the two teams that would get them. I know the Yankees are up there as one of the top three teams, but it's just they don't compare to those two teams as far as what they have to offer because he lives in Orange County and he lives in Atlanta or somewhere outside of Atlanta. I'm sure he doesn't live in Atlanta. But either way, he's got homes in Georgia and in Orange County. So if it's going to be any team, it's going to be one of those two teams. Like I said, I don't know how the Dodgers are just shelling out money year after year. That's what the Yankees used to be, but now not so much. Um, I don't know. You think he goes to LA? You think that's
I don't see why he wouldn't. I mean,
I I don't know. I He's one of those guys that I see a hometown discount will definitely be in store for him if it comes to Atlanta. He's just one of those guys that I see contemplating it all and not really wanting to leave because he's a homegrown guy. I don't see him in any other uniform. He's kind of like this Aaron Rodgers situation with a little less drama and a little less selfishness. I think he's going to end up going back. That's my opinion. Uh, I can see where you're coming from though. Like if he wants a lot of money, LA's the number one option. So
but then you go into the other aspect of things like what we were talking about with the universal DH kind of opening up some things. You got your Jorge Solers. You got your Albert Pujols even. He's not done. He said he was done last year. He's not done anymore. The guy hit well when he went to Los Angeles. So there's a few I seen. I think it was either 3 or 4 teams that are looking at him and maybe want to bring him on for that DH role only. So you got people like him. But what I'm most excited about is I'm hopeful that the Red Sox can land this Japanese Suzuki and get that outfield popping. That's
yeah,
a big bat coming from overseas.
'cause y'all lost Hunter Renfro, right? That's a pretty big loss.
I'm not 100% positive. I would have to do. I thought we signed him to 2 years, but I could be wrong. That might be Kike I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I mean Kike is going to be in your outfield. He's going to be a second baseman, shortstop. He's going to play anywhere you need him to be.
And
Um,
he's going to hit the lights out of the stadium.
right. I mean, Why did I say Hunter Renfro? What's his name?
It's a
We're just sitting here. We said we weren't going to edit this podcast, but here we are, just sitting here with pauses.
no.
We'll see the Red Sox.
I think it is Hunter Renfro.
Yeah, it is Hunter Renfro. What in the world? All right, Hunter Renfro is he. It says he previously played for the Padres, Rays, and Red Sox, and he's at 30 years old now. They traded Renfro for Jackie Bradley. That's right.
Oh yeah, that is right. We traded for Jackie Brad.
You
See,
got
it's been so long since there's been any baseball activity that
I know.
we have to go through everything.
Okay, so when they finally came out of the lockout, it was at 100 or 99 days. So one day away from being 100. So yeah, that's a lot of days, man. That's over 3 months of no baseball activity at all.
That's a lot of days that we've been focused on other sports that are actually playing.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it's been hockey. For you, it's been probably a little bit of basketball, right?
Is that
what you
it's been basketball and motorsports.
Motorsports, yeah. By the way, speaking of motorsports, Cron, I'm going to say this on the podcast. Next February here in Harrisburg, you got to come down. They got a motorsports show going on. Got to come up here.
Heck yeah.
But, yeah, we'll see you up here.
Better believe that.
But yeah. And I guess kind of just talking about a little bit about let's talk a little bit about MLB free agency because it's getting really hot right now. So as a disclaimer for everybody listening, maybe a few days after we post this, today is March 12th. We haven't had any news yet, and I know Cron, you subscribe to a bunch of or Twitter pages that update you on all that stuff. We haven't really gotten much news.
I mean, the biggest one so far has been Rodon.
Yeah, and then this news that just came out that the Rangers, Red Sox, Astros, Marlins, and Dodgers are all talking with Soler. That's a big one.
I mean, you've got those small rotational pieces like you say, or Kikuchi. Yeah, Kikuchi, my guy from the Mariners. Now he's off to Toronto, which will be a problem for us because we got to deal with that.
Yep. Yeah.
Solid little left hand, picked up at $12 million a year for 3 years.
Yeah, and he was okay in Seattle, but I don't think he was anything lights out. But adding him to that Toronto pitching staff that was probably the best in baseball last year. We'll see if Robbie Ray can do similar things.
Yeah.
I think he's still in Toronto. I know he was on a 1-year deal. Let's look that up too. Why don't we just look up everything on this podcast? How about that? We came into
last week. I was the show researcher. This week it is Yoder.
This week it is me. So keep talking. Fill the space, my guy.
Anyways, while you do that, I believe we could probably segue into our next topic.
Oh, he's a Mariner.
Oh yeah, that's another one. He went and signed a 5-year deal with him, I think.
Oh, that's terrible. He's not going to do anything there. That's just a waste of.
They just swap pitchers, bro. They just swapped, bro.
That's crazy. Well, still, I mean, that's one of the better rotations of base. Obviously, you don't have the Cy Young winner, so it's a little bit of a damper. But even though it should have been Garrett Cole, it's a little bit of bias there. But you're still one of the better rotations.
Pitcher Garrett Cole.
Yeah, that's still one of the better rotations of baseball. So, I mean, it's great for them. Talking more about free agency, Cron, as a Red Sox fan, I know that y'all have been linked to Tommy Pham, and you've been linked to quite a few guys.
Yeah.
It's Tommy Pham.
I mean, it's per usual. Anytime there's a free agent that can be got, one of our two teams is usually there.
Well, yeah, it's us and the Dodgers, and then the Blue Jays have been up there pretty frequently since they've decided to go all in and actually win, because all three of our markets or all four of the markets are huge. But what really gets me is the fact that the Angels haven't done crap for Mike Trout, and they're arguably just as big of a market as all of those teams. You could say the Angels and the Red Sox are both pretty good markets for baseball. So that's weird.
What have the Angels done at this point? I mean, they have Shohei. They have Noah Syndergaard.
They lost
And
probably their ace in Dylan Bundy.
yeah, well,
So,
they replaced Dylan Bundy with Noah Syndergaard, and then
yes.
added some rotational pieces like Michael Lorenzen. But
Mm-hmm.
really, at this point, that's the only thing that they've done.
They have Shohei Otani, man. Otani and Trout. And that's the thing too about the Angels. If they can add, a healthy Trout to that lineup, I think they'll be better. They were hovering around that 500 mark all year, but they are in a tough division,
Yeah,
having to surpass the Astros every year. That's difficult. That division really hasn't been there since the Astros started becoming what they are now, started shaping into what they are now around the 15-16 season. Um, but yeah, that's interesting. More free agency stuff. What are we looking at for these top shortstops? So we got two top shortstops. We've got Correa and we've got Story. Both are linked to New York.
both are
Uh,
linked to Chicago. Both
both are
are,
linked. Yeah.
but Chicago's pretty much probably got themselves out of these things because they just signed Andrelton Simmons to a 1 year deal.
Yeah, the Cubbies will be fine for a year. Um, and then obviously the other Chicago team, the AL Chicago team, the White Sox, they'll be fine for a while. I think they're going to keep Tim Anderson around for a good while. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, really the teams it comes down to are the Yankees. Uh,
there's still that lingering linking Correa to Detroit because of Hinch.
yeah, but that with the whole Javi Baez signing, I don't really see that happening.
And for whatever reason, Orioles fans think they have a shot at Carlos Correa.
Well, you know what? That's not a bad little idea. I don't think Carlos Correa wants to go there and lose, but they have one of the better, if not, I would say they're the number two prospect pipeline in my opinion. They've got a catcher who's ready to come up and make an immediate impact in Adley Rutschman, and the rest of their prospect pool. I think they have like 6, 7 guys in the top 100, which is a large share compared to the rest of the league. So
But
that's
it's like what you said. I mean, maybe if the money's right, he's already won a ring, so he could be
money's
satisfied and just go get his bag.
right, and especially like we've seen in recent times where a lot of free agents signed with Yankees rivals just to spite the Yankees, and I think if the money isn't there for Correa in New York, the Orioles might be a good option. Um, but I don't see him going to LA. They want to spend money elsewhere. I think they can platoon at shortstop. Worst comes to worst.
I mean, they got their shortstop. They got Trey Turner.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess you're right about that. So,
They were pretty comfortable, and they let Corey Seager walk. So
yeah, and didn't they just sign Chris Taylor as well?
yeah, I think they signed
They
him to
just
a
signed him.
3 year extension.
Yeah, and they got Gavin Lux, so they got a lot of play, man. And that's an organization that's done a really good job of building up not only their free agency approach, but also their developmental approach, especially with middle infielders and outfielders. They've done a great job there. Um, but yeah, I'm thinking the Yankees are a front runner on one of these two shortstops, either Trevor Story or Carlos Correa. Freddie Freeman, we're thinking Dodgers Braves. Um, what else we got, dude? Yeah, I mean, we've
What
got a
else
lot of
we
pieces
got?
in the free
What
agent
else
pool.
we got will be. We can do a whole separate episode on just baseball free agents and trying to predict that. But
Yeah.
we've got three other ones we need to discuss on this one. So we're going to move straight on in to the next professional league, and that would be the National Football League.
Oh,
That
buddy.
offseason is also starting to heat up. We've had 4 trades in the last 2, 3 days,
Oh yeah.
4 big name trades as
What's your
well.
favorite? What's your favorite trade so far? I mean, don't be a front runner here. I think we all know what the biggest trade is. It's one of the biggest in the last 5 years. But what's
I mean, my entire family, obviously not me, as you can see from this,
yeah, Steelers fan? Let me guess, a
but
Bronco.
my entire family is Broncos fans. And I think that that's probably my favorite trade because that puts the Broncos in an immediate spot to compete. They Let's just look at what they gave up. They gave up the first round pick, which they were probably going to use on a quarterback because they need a quarterback bad. So they give this pick away along with all the other picks. And what do they lose? They lose Noah Fant, who they have Alberto to back up immediately. Is he as fast? Is he as good? It's probably to be determined. Then they give up Drew Lock, who is not a bad quarterback. He's not a good one, but he's not a bad one. He's kind of just a guy that the Seahawks could throw into the lineup and be like, hey, go play. Whatever happens, happens. I mean, if you win, cool. Maybe you get yourself a contract. If you don't, cool. We get a first round pick. That's pretty high.
Yep. He's a guy to just kind of bridge the waters, just bridge the gap.
Yes, but not
Between,
mistaken for bum Teddy Bridgewater.
okay.
But
I
the
mean,
biggest thing that we need to talk about is going to be twice as big as the Russ trade, and that's going to be the Deshaun Watson trade
mhm.
after he clears his name and is not convicted of any kind of crime
Not even
by the
indicted.
Houston
Not
court.
even indicted. So he's
Not
not even going to go
indicted.
to trial.
The amount, and here's what I was trying to portray to my co-host here earlier. Whatever happens with Deshaun Watson is not going to affect the next season of the Texans in any way when it comes to players on the team. Obviously, the only person they're going to trade is Deshaun Watson. Whatever they get back, they're only going to have to give Deshaun Watson up for it. It's on a massive contract that he played himself into. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he was playing.
Yep.
It's just one of those things that they're going to say, here's Deshaun Watson, here's what we want. They'll get a haul of players and picks in return. Probably won't be good the next year, but they'll be set with all those picks and those players that they're going to get. I mean, they're in. I've seen the most heated discussions have been with the Panthers, and the Panthers have made it very clear there's only one player on their team that's not untouchable, and it is not, or that's untouchable, and it's not who you think it is.
Yeah, it's not Christian McCaffrey.
It is Jeremy Chin, their stud safety,
Mhm.
who is going to be there for years to come. But if you're the Texans, yeah, I'm going to need that Christian McCaffrey.
Here's
Bring it
what's
on.
interesting to me. You look at a guy like Amari Cooper. That trade just went down too, so that's kind of a good inclusion here. They
Keep in
got
mind, this is March 12th.
yes, March 12th. The Cowboys obviously trade Amari Cooper to the Browns and a sixth round pick for a return fifth round and sixth round pick. It's interesting to me because these two dynamics kind of play into each other between the Deshaun Watson trade and the Amari Cooper trade. And here's how. The reason, so a lot of people are complaining about this kind of fleece job, and I agree that happened between the Browns and the Cowboys. The big reason why this happened was because the Cowboys had made it very clear that they were ready to pull the trigger and completely cut Amari Cooper, no strings attached, just get rid of this $22 million in salary that he was due, and that's why they didn't get anything out of the Browns, right? It was essentially just a fifth round for Amari Cooper. It's because they made the bad decision to announce that they were getting ready to cut him. So the team was like, you know what? Nobody else is going to be in this running. We just want to have first rights to this guy. We'll give you a fifth round pick for him, just so you won't cut him, so that we don't have to go through this whole bidding war process for him. How that translates to Deshaun Watson is it's very clear, like you said, the Texans aren't losing anything, right? At most, they're losing a little bit of salary cap for Deshaun, and they have him on the books for all these years. They get rid of him, they weren't going to play him anyways. Much like Amari Cooper, he wasn't going to play for the Cowboys anyways. But the Deshaun Watson thing, they're going to get a haul, like you mentioned. They're going to get multiple first round picks, multiple second round picks, and maybe even some studs along with it, right? And we've even seen, maybe this Deshaun Watson and Tunsil thing, which would be huge for Carolina because they don't have crap for blocking, right? That's a huge issue, especially with Sam Darnold right now. He doesn't have any protection. Imagine Deshaun with his dude, Laramie Tunsil, on that left tackle side. They would get an immense haul. But it's interesting to me that both players weren't going to play for their teams, right? And every team knows that. But for Amari, you get a fifth round pick. For Deshaun, you build up an entire draft capital that is unrivaled in the NFL. So that's crazy to me. But yeah, it's
But talking about this trade situation with Deshaun segues us into the next thing we want to talk about with the NFL, and that's this upcoming draft. So you get him out of the way now, or you wait till draft night. Either way, there's everyone's on the phone right now wanting Deshaun Watson. So if you're the Texans, personally, I would want to get him out of there as quick as I can, so I know what picks that I'm going to get. Because you run the risk of talking to a team like Carolina, but waiting until draft night, and then Carolina's like, all right, we don't want to do this anymore. We'll just take a quarterback. That runs you the risk of, you're not getting a caliber of a quarterback like Deshaun. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying you run that risk of them being like, okay, we're out. We'll just draft the quarterback. And then you've been game planning this entire time to pick at 3 and 6. And then you run that risk of them being like, nah, we're done. So now you have to try to find a new team, and maybe you're not at that 6th pick that you've been planning for the entire time. Which is why I would want to do something like trade them now, so I know that that pick that I'm getting in the first round is set in stone, and I can start planning for what I want to do. Maybe try to move that pick up for another pick, compile a couple first round picks, and move yourself up in a draft for a player that you really, really want to get.
mm-hmm.
But personally, if I'm Nick Casserole, I want as many first round picks as possible, because the Texans are in a good spot right now that Deshaun Watson's been cleared. They're going to get whatever they want for him. Someone will give them whatever they want. They're going to be in a good spot. It'll take them a couple years, but they're going to be back. Maybe not near as good as they were, but they're going to be not competing for the top pick every year. So I'm excited for Texans fans. I'm excited for the Texans. I'm not a Texans fan, obviously, but I'm excited to see what they can do. I know someone in this chat right now is not excited for what they can do.
No, not whatsoever.
Not excited for what they're about to achieve from getting this. But
Nope.
back to what I was saying, if I'm Nick Casserole, I'm just going to call him Casserole. I always call him Casserole as a joke, so I'm just going to call him Casserole. Casario, if you're watching this, you're Casserole
He's
now.
not watching this.
I don't make the rules. But I want to trade Deshaun as soon as possible. I want to get my haul for him now. I want to get my first round pick so I know exactly where I'm picking and start looking and talking to that person that I would want at that pick, probably to get cucked out of him by somebody who has no need for him.
Did you say cucked out?
Cucked out. Just like I remember vividly the year that Texans fans wanted Andre Dillard so bad. The Eagles said nah, fam, and traded right up and got him. They lucked out because Andre Dillard is cheeks.
Okay, so basically your discussion is, do you trade for him now or do you wait till the draft night? I think if you wait till draft night, it's a moot point. He'll be gone by then anyways. Like, there's a hot market for him. And I think, like you said, the Texans want to get. Oh, so you're talking about the Texans, what the Texans should do,
It
if they
is.
should ship him off now or wait till draft night. Yeah, it's great to know exactly where you're going to be picking. They're not going to get, multiple first round picks for this year, because I don't think any of these teams that are dealing with the Texans have multiple 2022 first round picks. But it's good to know, what kind of.
Only one team, the Eagles. If the Eagles wanted them,
Yeah, I mean, who's that over there? Howie Roseman. That's their GM. I don't know. I think Howie is pretty committed to Jalen Hurts. Whether or not that's a good idea, that's a whole
it's not.
different
It's
discussion.
not a good idea.
Whole different discussion. Howie Roseman has been known to say that and then move on from the quarterback like not even a few weeks later. So,
Of course,
maybe,
it was.
but yes, exactly. This is the type of team the Eagles are. that are going to be good next year, right? Like you said, multiple first round picks. They have a lot of draft capital. They have a lot of up and coming talent. This is a team that's going to be good next year. And I told you this year, this team's going to make the playoffs. And you're like, no, you're crazy. I was like, they're going to be good next year too. You're like, no, you're crazy. But I was right about it, right? Because this team has something to build off of. So I don't know if Deshaun fits into that. You'll have to give up some of those guys because they don't have so much depth that they can just give it away freely in return for Deshaun Watson without having to completely rebuild. And I'm not sure Houston would take Jalen Hurts, so you'd kind of just have a lame duck there, sitting back up. What team
I'm
wants
thinking,
Jalen
and
Hurts?
that's another thing. Houston is looking for players out of this, but they are not looking for a quarterback.
No,
They
they
are
got
fully
Davis.
content with Davis Mills playing.
Mm-hmm.
Davis Mills struggled in his first few games like any rookie would,
Yep.
but at the end of the season, that dude was balling out.
And I mean,
He's a
look at
good quarterback. He was a steal for where he got drafted.
yeah, he's a diamond in the rough. What was he? A fourth round pick for the Houston?
Third or fourth, one of the two,
Yeah.
but that's wild. Like that kid was balling out.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, he had his games and he had his stretches of really low QB ratings and a lot of picks. But you look at him and you compare him with the number one overall pick in last year's draft. He had better statistics than Trevor Lawrence on comparable teams, right? With almost the same amount of weapons. You could argue that Brandon Cooks kind of separates Houston a little bit, but it's essentially the same team.
I mean,
So
just for example, you as a Titans fan, what was your last game of the year you had to deal with him? And he was
yeah,
dicing y'all. He was absolutely going nuts.
yeah. Yeah, so it was basically the final quarter, right? Him and Danny Amendola were just torching the Titans, and that's when I realized this kid's pretty good. All they did was spread him out five wide. You
And
let
let him throw the ball.
you let Davis Mills make reads. He's going to find his guy, and he's a Stanford product. He's a smart quarterback, um, so he's great. So that leads us back into our discussion. Like you said, they're not looking for a quarterback, so I don't think Philadelphia is a great suitor for Deshaun Watson. I don't think they're even linked to him at all whatsoever. Um, but I think the Panthers are probably at crystal ball 99% to get Deshaun Watson. I don't think Miami's fully committed to Tua, maybe to their detriment, but
Definitely
yeah,
to their detriment. But I've seen some interesting things about the Buccaneers, and I've seen the Buccaneers that have been linked to both. Get this, both Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield, if Baker Mayfield was to become available. Because I can tell you one thing and one thing right now. Tampa Bay will not roll into the season with Kyle Trask as their starting quarterback. They will take someone in the seventh round and start him over them before they do that. Kyle Trask was a absolute college phenomenon until he had to go against the Oklahoma Sooners in the bowl game and got absolutely torched.
always comes back to the Sooners. They,
I
yeah,
can't help it.
there's a reason his last name rhymes with trash. He's Kyle Trash.
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah, look
mean,
at your
he was
video
a
right now.
product of Kyle Pitts. He just threw the ball to Kyle Pitts.
Look at your video right now. Tell me that's not pixelated.
Bro,
Okay, now it's focused. Let's focus. We're good. Cron and I had an
I'm not even
argument
going to edit
about.
that out. It's not getting edited out.
No, it's
I
going
want
to
to
stay
see
in there.
y'all try. This guy's trying to trash me on the
Look at
podcast,
me. I
bro.
got a 1080p Logitech camera. This guy won't drop the what is it, $60 on it because he says his computer camera's fine. Whatever. I won't argue with them anymore.
I
It's
mean,
to a moot
anyways,
point.
let's talk about something that I'm sure my co-host here is very eager to talk about, and that is Greg Popovich.
Coach Pop is the GOAT, the greatest basketball coach of all time, number one in all time wins. Got that right, Nana. My dog Nana is staring at me right now, confused as to why I was clapping. Coach Pop gets his, let's see if I can remember this number, 1,332 or 1,336. One of those two numbers puts him at the top of the list, right? Better coach than Phil Jackson, better coach than Pat Riley, um, greatest coach of all time. What do we
I
think about
mean,
that
it's
statement?
hard to debate. It's kind of like the Tom Brady thing. I mean, you can't really argue with someone who says he's the GOAT because he's got 7 rings.
Well, I mean that that frequently comes up, the whole rings discussion, because Phil Jackson has more rings than Coach Pop. Coach Pop has 5.
Yeah,
Phil
but
Jackson has 6.
my rebuttal to that thing is you just start with the way that Popovich became a coach. He was
Okay.
the general manager of the San Antonio Spurs, who literally looked at their coach dead in the eyes and said, "I need you gone," and then told the owner, "I am now the head coach of
I'm
this
the
team."
captain now.
Yes.
Well, what we doing here, fam? Oh yeah. Okay, so yes, Coach Pop, he basically
Yeah, someone opened my door and then just slammed it shut.
sick.
Anyways, yeah, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, so Coach Pop
You're
looked
acting
at
like I'm
his
gonna edit this video, bro.
general
This is
manager.
going in raw, dude.
Fuck
Whoa.
it, dude. The general manager, he's the general manager and now he's the head coach. So he's absolutely atrocious in his first year as a head coach. And what's he do with that first pick that he gets? Turns it in to Timothy Duncan, arguably one of the best power forwards of all time. You can debate it
The
if you
best.
want.
The best.
You can debate it if you want. I don't debate it. I think he's the GOAT. But, anyways, Pop's development of players is unmatched. The depths that he goes to find players out of different countries, like a Manu Ginobili, that was absolutely. Ginobili was a menace to society
Manu
in his
Ginobili.
years. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that team that he had, I mean, he had David Robinson, he had Tim Duncan, he had Tony Parker, he had Manu Ginobili. He had all kinds of players just absolutely
Kawhi
torching
Leonard.
people.
He
Yeah, he
developed
had
Kawhi Leonard. Don't forget that.
Kiwi Leonard, the
Mm-hmm.
claw, the dude with the hands the size of my computer screen.
Yep.
But I mean, he's just a hard, like, he's so respected around the NBA. There's not really anyone that doesn't like him except probably Kawhi Leonard. I think there was a rift there. But who cares? What's Kawhi Leonard doing right now?
Yeah. Not winning, that's for sure.
That's a fact. Anyways, but we need to give Pops his congratulations on becoming the winningest coach in all time. I mean, he's the GOAT. It's hard to debate it. Could this be his last season? There's a chance. I mean, I think he pretty much negotiated himself into having a good shot at next season with all the picks and stuff that he got at the trade deadline. He did some Pop work at the trade deadline and did what Pop does and gets a lot of picks and tries not to miss hard and usually doesn't miss. But it's one of those things. You never know when someone's going to retire. Look at Andrew Luck. That dude was at the top of his career and just retired.
Yep.
It's one of those things. If he's done, he's done. You can't really do anything about it.
Yeah. And the thing with Coach Pop is he's had a rough last 3 or so years. After Tim Duncan retired, after Ginobili, Duncan, and Parker all left the Spurs, that dynasty was over. He lost his wife, um, and he decided to stop coaching USA basketball. I mean, the writing's on the wall. This is, 75% chance this is his last season. He's definitely done by next season. And I think to your point you made about how he's stacked up all these draft picks and, he's put them in a good position to rebuild. I think that's a pretty good sign that he's on his way out because he doesn't want to leave this organization in a bad spot because he knows he played a big role in setting this organization up for success. Even when R.C. Buford took over as the GM, he was still a major part of the organizational decision making. And he knows that, and he knows he has a role to play in identifying talent and developing this player. So I could see him retiring after this season, taking on sort of a management development role, something like that with the Spurs for a few years, and then, leaving the sport altogether. He really cares about his players, but I think it's time for him to move on. Not because he's a bad coach or anything like that, but because, the last few years have been tough on him, and I think he deserves it. So,
I think it's either him doing that is either him trying to put the next coach in a good spot or him saying, I'll give this one more shot, one more year, and I'll get this draft loaded with the most picks that I possibly can and take one last swing at it. But yeah, anyways, we can move on to our next topic here about, let's see. We got something that's coming up very soon that we take very seriously.
March.
And that is March Madness. So we're
Yes,
going to tell
sir.
you right now what we're going to do for March Madness. There will be a special episode that we do for March Madness.
Yep.
We will go through in depth as much as we can on each matchup, pick our winners of the games. Basically, just a Cronyo Media bracket episode.
Yeah.
It's
We
probably
might
going to
have-
be somewhere around an hour-long special.
Yep.
But it's going to be one of those things it's got to be done. We're going to do it. We're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it.
Yeah. So shut up. So shut up and enjoy it.
So stop asking.
It's not going to happen. So quit asking.
Quit asking.
Quit asking.
That's big Pappy Nick Saban right there. So stop asking.
So stop asking. We got so we're probably going to add a few hosts in there for that one, just to kind of have a broad variety of people in there. But I think
we
we're going to
got
have
friends
everyone.
that once we all get together and we start discussing something like that, it gets interesting and it gets funny and it gets wild.
All right, I just got a text message that said the Mets starting rotation is stacked. What is this about? I mean, I knew it was stacked before, but is there something new?
Oh, yeah, they just made a trade. They just required Chris Bassett from the A's.
No way. This team's ready to win. Oh, I hate the Mets so much.
Right-handers JT Ginn and Adam Aller are heading to the Oakland A's from the Mets in the Chris Bassett trade.
No way. Well, this sucks. Who they got now? DeGrom, Bassett, and Scherzer.
Yeah, that's
insane. That sucks.
That's wild.
That's wild.
That's wild.
Goodness. Yeah, speaking of Chris Bassett, this past summer I worked for the Edenton Steamers, and Chris Bassett was an alum of that baseball team. It's pretty cool.
Shout out Edenton Steamers.
Yeah, I was a hot dog flipper.
Hot dog flipper Britton Yoder.
You're welcome, Edenton Steamers.
Director of game day operations.
Yeah, you're welcome. I flipped your wieners for you.
Ooh, moving on. Flabbergasted.
Whoa. Flabbergasted. All right. So I'll have to just insert this music. So if you're watching the video, sorry, you're not getting any music. Podcast, though, you'll get the music.
Facts.
Yes. So, Cron, I will count you down. So we explained how Flabbergasted worked in the last video. Basically, Cron has some stat lines that he really liked that impressed him, flabbergasted him in a good way. I've got stat lines that flabbergasted me in a bad way. All right, you ready, Cron?
Let's get it.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Get it.
Number 1, Greg Popovich. How can you not be impressed with the most wins all time in NBA history? He's the GOAT. No denying it. I mean, you can argue if you want, but you're wrong. It's just wrong. You're done. Jocelyn Aloha. The home run queen. I almost said king. We would have got canceled. The home run queen in college softball. Takes over the spot from a former OU softball player. As Yoder said in another video, there's something in that water down there. Horns down, screwing. Shout out the pitcher who threw out of that meatball down the middle and let her smack it. Last but not least for Flabbergasted, what flabbergasted me the third most this week was the fact that the MLB and the MLBPA finally came to an agreement and we don't have to cancel baseball. We get to watch baseball. We get to watch bad teams. We get to watch good teams. We get to watch nukes. We get to watch fights. It's sick nasty. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. That's the good flabbergasted. All right, Cron. I need you to count me down. Now, everyone, just a primer from 2 weeks ago, you'll understand this. Go ahead.
3, 2, One.
What was that, first of all? 6 Russian fighter jets were shot down by the Ghost of Kiev 2 weeks ago. That's terrible. 0 for 6. I mean, I guess it's not a double golden sombrero, but they at least got a golden sombrero on that one. Struck out 6 times. Sorry, fellas.
You know what else could be on there? The people of Monaco for not preparing for a penguin attack.
Okay. All right, you're right. And also, I'm just going to guess it was 20th Century Fox for training Jim Carrey to be a penguin trainer for the Russian military. That's terrible. Terrible.
Flabbergasted bad is this company for not making these flags bigger.
Yeah, well, I mean, I ordered them, so that was on me. But shout out to this company. I'm not going to say the name because we're not getting paid for it. So why would I do that? This company made some pretty good banners. So
they do. They are sick, nasty banners indeed.
All right, Cron. I mentioned this before. We got to get a little creative. All right, so anyone that's not watching the video, I have a Tennessee Titans button right here that has 6 different catchphrases. All right? It randomizes the catchphrases. So every week we're going to press this button at the end of the episode. Whatever it says, whatever catchphrase it is, we have to do a segment based off of that catchphrase. So, for instance, if one of it's "Let's Go Titans," we got to do a segment that says that's called "Let's Go Titans." So,
and that will be a strictly Britton Yoder segment.
Yeah, strictly Britton Yoder. All right, Cron, let's get ready. Get the juices flowing. We're about to hear. Prepare your ears. I'm sorry if this is loud. I'm going to hold it away. But here we go. Got to get creative now. This is not our strong suit. All right, so for anyone that didn't hear it,
personal.
This time it's personal. All right, so what do we got for this one? We could just do a roast that's entirely personal.
We could do some kind of grudge match in sports.
What do you mean by that?
Or we could do a conflict in the world. This time it's personal.
This time it's personal. So
Russia and Ukraine. This time it's personal, bro.
Okay, yeah. Russia, Ukraine. This time is personal. What
I mean by that is something like A-Rod versus the Red Sox, where like this time it's personal.
A-Rod versus admitting to taking steroids. This time it's personal. Barry
Michael
Bonds versus
Jordan
getting
talking
in the
to
Hall
some
of
kid
Fame.
in the fan that says LeBron's better. This time it's personal, bro.
Ray Rice and respecting women. This time it's personal.
And we're getting canceled.
What's his name? Middle linebacker. Ray Lewis and not ending people. This time is personal. The Red Sox.
Navarro Bowman and anybody coming over the middle of the field to catch a pass. This time it's personal.
This time it's personal. The Red Sox and not having the worst fans in baseball. This time it's personal. Yeah. I'm winning.
I'm gonna let it slide.
You got to come up with something. You got 3 seconds to come up with something.
Yeah, I'm gonna let that slide.
Oh,
the Tennessee Titans and not being able to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Steelers fans and not using slurs at every football game. This time it's personal.
We went. I wish we could have live streamed the experience.
Oh no. No.
We would have had to about blur out every 5-6 seconds of it.
Yeah.
This man took so much flack.
I was getting flamed. And you know what? Here's the thing. It's like those dudes that have that are on fire, but they don't realize it. Like maybe their shirt tail is on fire. They don't even realize. That was me. I was catching so much heat behind me, and I didn't even realize it. He was throwing stuff at me. I was like, dang, this dude, he's got
the only person who realized it was me.
Yeah. I was like, this dude.
I'm sitting here watching, make sure I don't have to put hands on somebody.
I was thinking to myself, like, whoever he's directing this at, man, he really hates him. And turns out Cron tells me later he was pointing his finger at the back of my head.
Every time something bad happened to the Titans, bro, Tannehill threw a pick to Joe Schobert, and that was about the end. He about ripped his beanie off, and I about had to put hands on him.
I know. Oh, yeah, speaking of beanies, today is a Beanie Cast. Thank you for listening in. We thank you for listening to Cronyo Media. This episode is on YouTube. This is a full unfiltered version on YouTube. On anywhere you get your podcast, we will be there. If you are interested in becoming a Cronyo Media creator, email us at cronyomedia@gmail.com. As you can see in the back of our video, that is CRONYO media@gmail.com. Same thing on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Cronyo Media. Make sure to hit us up, hit the follow button there, engage with us on Twitter. Thank you for listening in to the Cron and Yote Show. Let's try and get this music clean out of here, my guy. Here we go. This was Anarchy!
Anarchy.
Anarchy!
Anarchy.
Anarchy! Ooh-woo! I told you I was going to throw it in, bro.
What do you mean by that?
I see you.
What do you mean by that?